The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business Podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business Podcast.
Hi, I'm Sally Harrison, President and CEO of the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and today I am so excited to have my friend Diane Meza, who's the Director of Maricopa IT Institute, in our podcast studio with us. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you, Sally. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, it's good to see you, as always. So before we get started, talk about Diane Meza. Tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Just a little bit. Well, I'm the director of the Maricopa IT Institute, and we are charged with standing up short-term trainings in response to IT industry demand that lead to certifications and employments for our students.
Okay, so that went over most people's heads. So talk about who you are. What's your background? Because I know
my background. Gosh,
education.
Education. It's funny. I'm actually back at Mesa Community College, but representing now more than even the East Valley community colleges, definitely working East Valley and West Valley, but I actually went to Mesa Community College. That's kind of a funny little tidbit here.
That's good.
I went there back, I won't say when, but
a couple years ago.
Just a couple years ago. I played volleyball there. It was just such a great experience. So I'm so happy to be back in Maricopa and working with the community college students. I have been in education for a very long time. I started off teaching in Mesa Public Schools. I've been in education over 30 years. I've taught in charter, private, public. I've been an assistant principal, vice principal, technology coordinator, curriculum director. That's what 30 years will do to you. You end up, wearing a lot of hats. But I'm just so excited to be in workforce. I love working with our industry partners here in Maricopa and trying to fill their demand gap, create talent pipelines and give them what they need.
Well, that's awesome. And that led you to being here and us getting to meet you through our campus. So how exactly did you get involved with our committee, the Mesa East Valley Technology Council?
Well, I think it started with our Technopreneur program, and it was kind of happening at the same time that I think Bob Nelson, who was the Director of Communications here, was working on a digital economy here with the Chamber. We did not know that we were siloed working on these projects, but what we were trying to do is give students experience before they actually leave their coursework, because students were coming back to us and saying, I can't get a job because I don't have experience. I don't have experience because I can't get a job. And so we said, how can we, we've always had internships and work-based learning, but we wanted to make sure it was very intentional, that they actually worked on a project for a business. They actually worked with other students, so they were learning those professional skills at the same time. And it's working. All I can say is it's working. All the students that are in this program are getting hired. But what happened about halfway through is we were missing a piece, and that was to get industry in with them. And we said, okay, well, we've got everything down on the educational side. So we talked to Bob, and Bob said, well, look at my plan. This is my plan for a digital economy. And it just mashed up perfectly at the time. Like I said, it's been very successful, and the students love working with the Mesa Chamber of Businesses. They've built relationships, they've become friends. It's fantastic. And so I think from there, Bob and I and you had conversations about, let's engage the IT industry members that are under the Mesa Chamber umbrella, and let's see what we can do bringing them together. And then we formed this Mesa East Valley Technology Council.
So tell me about what this committee actually does.
Okay, their purpose is to come together with us so they can become this technology network, and we can all coordinate on issues and items that universally affect them, and help Mesa Chamber create this digital economy. So we're hoping that as they come together, they kind of become like this group that is like maybe a subject matter expert advisory, but also we want to bring the latest, greatest things happening in the state of Arizona to them, so they know that they have access to that level of representation.
Perfect. Well, that's a lot of information, but it's really an important committee based on all the new businesses that are coming into our community. I mean, the technology corridor is, filled with these types of businesses. So it's great that there's one place that everybody can get together to discuss these issues.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So who are some of the members of the committee? What representation do we have?
Well, let's see. It's gaining interest, so that's good. But we have Meta, Google Fiber, Golden Goose, Apple, to name a few. And, of course, the Maricopa Community Colleges and the Technology Institute. And then all the partners that we bring, because we're working with quite a few partners. So some of our partners that we're working with now are Battery Ventures, Pegasystems, Commercial Metals Company, so when we all come together, then I think that's nice that all of our partners then have access to each other. It makes just a large network.
Well, it's interesting because so many of our manufacturers really are also technology businesses, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, cyber is just a big piece exploding, in OT and IT. That's something that we're working on, but just basic IT skills for technicians. All the companies now that we've talked to, and there's been 6, are very interested in just getting those basic skills in for the people that they've hired or the candidates coming in that they're looking to hire.
When does the committee meet?
Let's see, Bob, second Wednesday, I think, of each month.
Okay, so is it virtual, in person?
It's virtual,
Okay.
but we did have a really nice in-person gathering. We brought everyone together and had a nice luncheon, and I'm hoping that we can do some more in-person things in the future with this team, just
Very cool.
because we got a lot out of that in-person meeting, a lot of internships and work-based learning that companies seem to be interested in, because if you're going to increase that talent pipeline and that's where you're struggling, I mean, the work-based learning piece that we can provide is going to help just streamline that for them and make it easy.
Nice. So how can people be part of this committee?
They can contact Bob Nelson, the Mesa Chamber Director
I
of
know him.
Communications. Yeah, at bnelson@mesachamber.org.
So
Contact Bob.
is there a place to find out more information? Or do we have stuff on our website?
I believe you do. I've seen it. You got your Mesa Chamber Monday morning message where I've seen the Mesa East Valley Technology Council advertised quite a bit.
Okay, so everybody can go on mesachamber.org to find out
Editorial
more.
note, there is a webpage for each committee of the chamber at mesachamber.org.
Okay, well, you heard it here from Bob Nelson. Thank you, Bob. All right. Diane, thank you.
Oh, thank
we'll
you,
have you
Sally.
back again to talk more about this. But again, if anybody's interested in this committee, reach out to Bob or any of the staff, and we'll make sure you get in touch with Bob. But we'd love to have more people join this committee because more people bring more ideas. And I think it's one of our committees that really is on point right now with all the technology that we have coming into the community. It's important.
Agreed, and thank you so much for having me today. Always love coming here.
Thanks.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.